like, I want to eat this burger piece now. So I'm like, wow, I'm going to be chewing the entire time. So let me just chewing. It's really chewing. Anyways, welcome to our podcast.
Yes, welcome.
My name is Gina. I
I'm
am,
Hannah.
yes. All right, a card for today. We have 444.
Ooh,
Your hard work and determination is creating blessed foundations for the future.
ooh,
Wow.
nice.
With green in the bottom of the deck. Prosperity, health, abundance.
Sorry. Got a little too smoky in here now.
Oh, there's some energy to be cleared then, girl.
I know, right?
Where are you? Is this new location or something?
It's still in my room, but I switched it. So I'm in front of my mirror now as opposed to like in front of my crystals. Yeah. I wanted to switch it up, try something new.
Same place. This feels so interesting today. But yes, today we did Egyptian mythology.
We did, yes.
I don't know. This one here, I mean, I think we talked about this before, but this one spurred a new series for me. And we need to do a series on spiritual practices, like Egyptian spiritual practices, illusion, which is Greek spiritual. Like, we need to do a whole series on like spiritual practices and the mysteries, because like I felt as I was researching, I was getting like half truths or like half little scenarios. I'm like, this is not the whole. It's because I had a past life in Egypt. You guys are spiritual. You already know. I was in Egypt. I already know that. Okay. And I'm like, I was just like, it feels okay, but I'm like, I can just tell when it's like kind of like half, a lot of it's half, but like this one was like really like, this is like probably not even half, like maybe 30% if we're lucky, right? Like it was really, really interesting. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I felt the same way.
I'm excited to do more of the spiritual practices to see like what the differences are there, because I'm like, yes, but I know there's more.
Yes, exactly. There's definitely a lot more. I was getting that sense too, especially because like this time around, I'm telling you, maybe it's just me, but I really don't think it is. But using Google as of late, like I would say like the last like 3, 4 years, like it's been so hard to find any sort of like relevant information to what I'm looking for. And it's making it really hard for me to like research things and like gather like the appropriate amount of like information to do so. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Like I
Yeah.
can't find anything and I don't get it. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah, that's how it was for me with Chinese. Like some of the things I'm just like, why isn't there more information when we have every resource available to make every piece of information available out there, basically, no matter how niched it is, no matter how like underground, like that's how powerful Google is. Like that's a very powerful search engine. You can look up whatever you want to. That's infinite possibilities, literally. And it just seems a little bit strange that certain topics, like even this topic, I didn't use with Google at all because I just knew I wasn't going to get any answers, basically. That moment when I was looking for it. I'm like, I'm not even going to like not waste my time, but a lot of the information, in my opinion, is very generic, very surface level. And I know that, but like I also know just because of like, I guess the subtext of things, like I just know that there's more information out there, basically, or I just have an idea that there should and or is more. So
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna use next time. Honestly, maybe I'll just buy some books because I don't have any books on Egypt mythology like at all. Like I did when I was like, growing up when I was, a kid, but I don't know where those books are. Like I have no idea. I don't even think I have them anymore. So like this was definitely a little bit difficult. Like the last like few that we've had to research. The only one that like I feel like the only two that I feel like I was able to get like a good amount of information on was Greek and Norse. And I know before, yeah, like Greek is like, very popular, but then like Norse mythology is still like a little bit more niche, I thought, but I think it's because of like, like video games like God of War, which is like a great video game by the way, and then like even Assassin's Creed, they've done a lot more Norse things, and like Vikings in general have like gotten more popular in the last few years, so I think that's why I'm able to like find things on that. But trying to find anything on like Egyptian mythology, especially like when you're looking into the specific gods, like I honestly just had to give up. And then like I didn't start my research until like Thursday anyway. So I was like kind of scrambling for time. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do just like focus on like the creation thing and then just see where like that goes. And even that gave me like a good amount, but not what I was expecting at all. Like not at all. But yeah, let's get into it. You go first.
All right, yeah. So we're gonna start today's with a bang. Okay, this is a very, very interesting story. I'm like, wow. I feel that with Egyptian mythology specifically, it's very punchy. They're like very like, I don't know. They're just, I feel a little bit more like earthly almost, but still have that like very godlike presence, but like very like kind of a little bit like Greek mythology, I feel, but a little bit more rated R. At least this one is. So, I am excited to share. All right. So this is, of course, in every mythology, we have someone who wants power. And this is a story about how Set.
Yes! That's my favorite story. This one is wild. Oh my God.
Yes. So this is the resurrection of Osiris, and basically how, of course, Set killed Osiris. But before that, they were vying over power. And it should be noted that Osiris is king of all, mortal and immortal, and he is credited for civilization and agriculture. He is beloved by all, basically, because he's like, that one deity that just inspires so much goodness. But of course, Set did not like him because he got all the attention. And
then it's that whole like brother trope too that like plays throughout all mythologies.
Cain and Abel. I see like some parallels between Cain. As I was like researching, I'm like, oh, this is maybe I think this one would have come first. So I would I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But I would say that there's definitely some interplay there because really similar stories. So Set murders Osiris. Of why include Osiris kicking Set. I mean, murdering someone over kicking you. Okay, cool. But also Osiris having intercourse with Nephthys.
Nephthys.
And from now on, she's Neph, guys, because we don't have time for the extra syllables. So she's Neph from now on. All right. So Ra, who was the sun god, was the original king. So this is basically explaining the lineage here. Ra, the sun god, original king, traveled around the universe. Shu was next as king. He was the air, personification of air. And then Jeb, and he was the personification of earth. And I also found it to be interesting. Well, we'll talk about that later because that comes in the creation myth. But anyways, Osiris, and then Jeb made Set, Osiris, and Neph with Nut. The names are just so hilarious. Anyways, of course, so not getting back to our story here because you know like the little lineage between the gods. Set was jealous, so he locked Osiris in a chest and cast him into the Nile River. All right, and so other versions include him transforming into a bull and trampling him, but however he did it, he got the jump on Osiris, basically. And he carved him up, and he dismembered him, and he threw him over the land in the desert. And this was totally a Dexter moment for me. I was like, wow. This is like predating Dexter years and years and generations, but same theme. And so Osiris became the first living thing to die, so he became the king of the underworld. And from this time on, Set is the ruler now because he is the second other brother. So here comes Isis. Isis, in her little meddling ways, was like, my husband is not dead. I'm going to resurrect him. So her, along with Neph, again, that is Set's wife, I guess. But
Set's wife, and then it's Isis's sister.
Yeah, but they don't. she basically took her as his
Mm-hmm.
consort. So it's not, I don't really want to go into details with that because it's just a little bit uncomfortable to describe, honestly. But anyways, the two sisters, Candace and now finding his body parts. The one they did not find because it was ate by a fish was his penis. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how very, again, the Egyptians are like, they're so extreme in rated R. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
one part, you know. But anyways, they ask Anubis, which is the god of death, mummification, and embalming. And basically, they perform the first embalming process. And because he was missing his member, Isis had to fashion one with her magic. So basically, with magic and embalming, they resurrected her fallen husband, but it was not permanent. So they did the deed and they got pregnant with Horus. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is in like all versions, but in this version, and I found it to be kind of strange, Hathor nursed Horus. And I just found it to be like, why not Isis after all the trouble she went through to get her son, I guess? I mean, because she wanted him to go to restore the order of the throne. So it just was a little bit strange to me how she didn't nurse him. I don't know. Anyways, so basically, she's at this time, Horus is of age, he's ready to rule, and Isis is like, okay, now is the time to get my throne back. I don't know if she had any personal motivations in this because I didn't really go that deep, but she was very, very gung ho with this.
Yeah,
Very,
I
very.
think it was just the fact that like Seth came in and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take your shit," and
Uh-huh.
then killed Osiris, and then she was like, "What the fuck? Nah, no." And then she, put her son to
Mhm.
avenge them, which kind of makes sense because like Isis and Osiris, they were like benel, ben,
Benevolent.
benevolent. Jesus, they were good. Like they
Mhm.
weren't doing anything bad. Seth just came in and was like, I'm just gonna jack your shit because I'm the god of, violence, murder, and chaos. And that's what I do. So I'm gonna take it. And then they were basically like, nah, let's go get that shit back.
Yeah, exactly. And so at this time, they're at the Council of the Gods. And she demands her son's right to the throne. And so the gods were split basically mainly because of his age, but mainly Ra was opposed because of his age. It wasn't really clear why the other gods were. But Shu, which is the god of the air, a personification of air, and Thoth, or I'm gonna
Talk.
say Thoth, the goddess or god, excuse me, of wisdom and communication, I believe.
Mhm.
Sorry, he's on another page. The god of wisdom. All right. So they both sided with Horus because they're smart. And I don't know, for me personally, I'm just like, okay, yes, this is Osiris' son, but this is like some like weird mummification ghost baby, like this child is technically not supposed to like this like uses a magic and like all these like weird occult this child, yes, I guess technically maybe, but like not really. I mean, I'm hung because honestly, like Set is dirty, obviously, but this is a weird like magic potion baby. I'm not gonna say that,
I
but
know.
I was gonna say something else. But I'm like Gina, dial it back. So, but yeah, I just don't know whose side to be on basically because I feel that yes, it is his birthright, but it's also like he's not real in my opinion. I mean, he's kind of not real, like he's just like he's he's magic, baby.
I mean, but so is Shu. Like he only came to be after Ra split the heaven and the earth, and then he was like, "Oh, here you are, dry land."
Oh,
Like,
the story that
what is
from
that?
the story that I looked up associated with him was one where he was sneezed. Oh. Or like coughed or something.
Oh my god! And then that's the other thing. Like,
Oh,
depending
I
on
swear
the
to God.
time
I swear to
period,
God. So,
like the stories, they're all different. So
That's
like if you have them like predate like the dynasties, like Anubis was always the god of the underworld for like a very long time. And
mm,
then Osiris took that job over because he just got more popular like with like Egyptians. And
mm,
then Anubis was relegated to just like weighing the hearts and not being the ruler, and then like taking the dead to Osiris. So
mm.
it's like all these stories
There's
like
so there's so much historical implication, meaning like there's like time frame, like time periods. I didn't think to look up that at
because
all.
it's too much, and then like I get confused between like where are we? Like okay, I know the the time like frame names like BCE and all that, but I need like a jumping off
I need
point.
a timeline that has it for me to visually see. Okay, zero
Exactly.
modern era. Like I need to like have that like.
Exactly. Because I'm like, okay, because some of this does predate like Greek, but then some of the stories come after Greek because
Oh,
later on they associate Thoth and Hermes, and they actually like a Greek philosopher actually like combine them later
oh,
on. So I need yeah, because they have like similar qualities. Because Thoth also has to do with like being like a messenger and
mhm,
giving and getting information to people, and then at one point they were also taking the souls from the duat being weighed and then going to Osiris like after Anubis did it, so like
mhm.
they were like doing similar things, so that's why I'm like I need a better
I
timeline
need
than
a
that.
timeline. I need someone to map this out for me.
Exactly.
Uh, it definitely
Because
would
it's
be more clear,
confusing.
but it's also like, again, like we were saying, we probably have like 40% of what they believed, maybe.
If that, and then that's not, and then there's so many other things. That's not even getting like into the stuff of like how they believed in like the sky and like the stars and how they had that shit mapped out. Like I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even able to like really research anything on that because that's a lot. This might be like a two-parter at that point if we did all that.
Mm-hmm. It kind of like Chinese mythology, how where it was that beautiful wheel describing what they believe time was, but I'm like, that's beautiful, but that's probably like that's like 30-year-old minutes. Just like it's a really long, really, and then like I would with that specifically, I would have to like Google and then like be what Google's just been weird for me. I don't know. Like I feel like I've been having an interesting time finding things,
Same, same.
especially when it's really specific. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess that makes sense, but like I just feel that this is like the World Wide Web. That's really big words.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of information, but I don't understand just why it's like when it comes to like I I don't know. I guess I understand why, but it's annoying nevertheless.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
It's definitely annoying, and I have to pivot and navigate around that now. I'm just like, it's too many things to take into account when I'm trying to research shit.
mm, yes. But getting back to our story here,
Mhm.
she and Thoth, I don't know if I said that right again. I never
I
know.
just
But
say
anyway,
talk.
Thoth. I was like Thoth. I'm like, I don't know. Sided with Horus. All right. So they're on the magic baby side. Like the I don't know, the questionable human side. Okay, this child is not supposed to exist. Okay? It's working against the laws of nature. This is a demon child. If anything, it should be simple. I'm just kidding, guys. Okay.
Gina.
Isis's Isis's pleas were very, very dramatic, apparently. So dramatic that they triggered Set into like almost being in a rage. So Ra basically had to separate them um and
Such a
remove her
bitch.
from the council because she was just kind of her pleas and cries were getting to like the people, so like it's kind of like we have to remove her because it's too much emotion
Hmm.
for us to handle. And so basically they got separated by boat to like islands or something, secluded basically, only accessible by ferry. So Isis, being the dastardly woman that she is, disguised herself as a crone and got the ferryman to oblige her by bribing him with a golden ring. And then once there, she disguised herself as a beautiful woman. And of course, because Set has no control over anything, doesn't have control over his dick either. I said that word air, but I mean it's true. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to.
Gina, oh my goodness.
I just had to because I don't know. I feel like okay, we're gonna say he's lecherous. Maybe I should watch my tongue be on air, but he's lecherous. Okay? And so of course he falls for. I used the other word, but he fell for the trap.
Mhm.
Isis basically made him conclude with his own words using a parallel fake story, but basically the same story. But you know how it's the same story, but just described in a different way to kind of like cover it up. That's what she did, and he admitted to that person being wrong, but that person was him. So basically, he called out his own bullshit
Mhm.
under disguise, and so this traveled, and basically at this point, he isn't dethroned, but his rulership is called into question because of him condemning this scenario that was really describing him. So she transforms into a kite and is blown away. And this part was very interesting. This is very specific. This is
I
called,
know,
I
like your
believe, an
kite.
anaphorism. Anaphorism meaning it's like out of place with the times they're in, meaning like were kites invented back then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's inaccurate. That's why I was saying 40%
Yeah.
average.
Yeah. Or maybe like that's how they translated it, but it wasn't a kite. But like it's something that was able to, be lifted off and carried away.
Mhm.
And I don't yeah, and they didn't have a word for paper really either, so they probably wouldn't have used that. That's
Mhm.
interesting. That's weird. Like I
Yeah,
don't
and
know
that
if they had
was
kites.
yeah, a really interesting translation. That's why, like, just as someone reading, I'm like, that's a little, that's probably not right.
Yeah.
So, at this point, Set challenges Horus for the throne, and this, by the way, is an 80-year thing. So, I mean, it's really interesting how when I guess when I get to that point, but apparently Horus is really like downtrodden about how much time it took. But I found that to be interesting because he's a god. So I mean, like, isn't time like not?
Nothing to you?
But he was like complaining about how. But anyways, some challenges ensued, including hippo challenges. Isis intervenes basically at this point, and she throws a harpoon at him. Again, weird translation, but I'm guessing like a projectile thing.
Mhm.
Hits her son, so she retracts it and then hits it, throws it again, and it hits. Um,
How she missed the first time?
I don't know, but yeah, I guess
And
oh,
then hits
because
her
they're in the
side.
water.
What the fuck?
They're in the water, and it's like two hippos fighting, so it is very, I guess, intense. So recall it. Well, she's not. It's just like, how does she miss her will though? Because she's a whole magic being that brought
That's
her
what I'm
husband back to
saying.
life.
I don't understand how she missed.
So how does she miss? I don't know. That's
And
really
then hits her son. Like, that is your precious magic baby. Like, what are we doing? You don't have more accuracy than
I
that?
don't know. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Um, so when she protracted her projectile from Set, the her who Horus is doing. Horus thought this was a betrayal, basically. So he got mad and he cuts off his mother's head. I'm like, wow, this is like I was saying, 0 to 100 really quickly, really,
Damn.
really quickly. But of
Like, it
course,
was just an accident. Horace, chill.
but Isis is unfazed. I'm like, how cool of you, how calm of you. Rob was infuriated, ordered to find Horus. And so Set, of course, finds Horus, and ripped out his eyeballs. I'm like, this is just really interesting. And both were planted and became lotus flowers. And at this point, of course, he can't see, so he's just lost and blind. And just I don't understand like the god status thing in Egyptian mythology per se, because it's just really strange how like I would assume that he just regenerate his eyeballs, but apparently your eyeballs. Anyways, continuing on here. Set reported not finding Horus, which is interesting. But Hathor again is the one that breastfed him, which was again really interesting to me. But she did not call for search, and I guess that kind of goes back into like the bond they have or something. I'm not quite sure. But Hathor found Horus and treated his eyes, restores his sight, of course. And so they were at it for decades. Like I was saying, it's been about 80 years. And at this point, Ra wants peace. Everyone kind of just wants peace. And this is where the story gets even more interesting. So just strap in. I don't know if you're hearing this for the first time, but I'm having like little snippets, but like it's really interesting at this point. So Horus, so Set is invited by Horus. Excuse me, I'm too excited. Horus is invited by Set into his home, and Set attacks Horus while he is sleeping,
Oh,
and yeah, we all know what that ... ellipsis means, okay? So yeah, that happens. Yeah, this is a wild story
oh, why?
because he really wanted the throne. Apparently, it was so important to him.
But to get it that way?
... Get it that way. Yes, got the ... way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
That's weird.
yeah. So
I guess when all else fails. Oh my goodness. Okay.
it's really strange. That's what I was saying. So Horus finds out this happens, I guess, and he has his fluids, we'll say, I guess, on his hand at this point. So he finds Isis. So Horus finds Isis, his mom, and she chops off his hand and throws it into the Nile and grew him a new one. So he is no longer contaminated. So I found it to be very interesting, that whole like ritual, of like purification, I guess, almost, or something. I don't know. So Isis took So Isis takes Horus's special fluid. I'm like, I had to read what I wrote. I'm like, oh, it's that part. Okay, so cool.
Okay.
All right, so Isis took Horus's special fluids and applied it to Set's favorite lettuces. So apparently this gets Set pregnant or something. Like just the intermingling of the special fluids is very, very important and highlighted
Okay.
here.
And highlight.
Yes. And apparently it's described to be an act of domination. This is what the text says, not Gina. And I would have to agree, I think. But anyways, continuing on here. Oh wow, this is a really big story. Oh no. Okay, this is where we're at. Okay. So Thoth draws Horus's special fluids to see Set's forehead, basically, and that they're in front of the gods at this point. They're trying to just discover and determine who deserves the throne, because at this point we're so effing tired of hearing about it. Everyone is so effing tired of hearing about it. Even not researching, but I would imagine I'd be tired of like just I feel that Set constantly prolonged things and constantly made things like into big argumentative things, and just put like always wanted to challenge and duel. And I think this almost represents the ego in a certain way, always wanting to challenge and duel. And like, but Set is like ego's here and Set's like 1,000. It's too much. Okay. But yes, at this point, Horus's special fluids are drawn to kind of show, I guess, like I don't know, it's this weird ritual thing. And when Set's is drawn, it's in the now. It's not on him, so it's not as dominating, I guess. I don't know, but this is how they determined that Horus was the throne person or the true king. We always knew that, but this ritual really helped solidify it. Really weird. This how this is like devolving, right? But anyways, this appearance of golden light, and this was interpreted as Horus's divine right to rule. So of course he's challenged again
Why not?
to craft a ship from stone and to race it down the Nile. Okay. So Horus built a ship of pine and covered it with stone. Set built a ship from mountain, and when the race started, obviously the mountain ship sunk next to the pine one. But of course, he could not celebrate because Set transformed into a hippo and crashed into the boat, causing it to sink.
Because why not?
Exactly. So of course, Horus is going to retaliate, but of course, at this point, the gods intervene again. And basically, Horus petitions Neith, the goddess of wisdom, and begs for guidance as to how we can end this bloody battle for the throne. And so, at this point, a messenger is sent because of Thoth to the god Osiris, who's in the underworld at this point. And I don't know why they didn't do this sooner because we could have saved some time. But after positioning, they went back and forth basically. And so, of course, Osiris threatens to unleash demons into the world unless his son's position is rightfully claimed. And I would say at this point he has won the throne because it's just been like Set constantly prolonging things, especially after his special fluids were drawn from his forehead. I think that was like, okay, I've been like dominated, but not according to Set. He still wants to go on and on, but this really solidified that Horus is the ruler, Set you're not, Osiris, Big Daddy, I got this in check. I'm releasing my demons on the world if you don't put my son in charge, okay? So he has everything locked on. So at this point, Horus is proclaimed the king. Set is in chains. He concedes. And Set is allowed to join Ra in the sky as the god of storms. And that ends the whole... I'm sure there's more, guys, but according to this particular tale here, that ends the whole thing with this particular story. So yeah, I really like this one. I think that says a lot about me, maybe. I don't know. But it was just so fun and entertaining, and I just liked it a lot.
No, that one definitely has a lot of twists and turns to it. Like, you warned me, but I still don't think I was prepared for exactly what that meant. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a story.
Yes. And his stories, they're just so, I don't know, it's weird because you can see like some parallels to life in them, but then they're also just like wild. And I feel, especially with Egyptian, it's like, and I know if I was to dig deeper into their myths, I'd find more and more. It's like rated R, 0 to 100 really quickly. Like it just goes like full in. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. It's really cool to see how their brains worked. So yeah, that was the story of jealous Set and Osiris and Horus, and how it really mirrors, in my opinion, a lot of stories in the Bible. But I would say Jacob and the Coat of Colors, not so much the beginning, but definitely the ending.
Oh yeah, because his brothers were jealous, and then didn't they put him in a boat too, right? Like they captured him off.
They sold him or made him a prisoner or something.
Right? Yeah. And then he came. Yeah, he was a slave for a while, or something happened. Yeah,
and then he rose to power, basically.
Yeah.
And also, like we said, Cain and Abel. Definitely Cain. Jealous. So much jealousy. Like so much jealous energy. Wow. I guess that's why 7 deadly sins, envy. But Cain and Abel, and how Cain was jealous because Abel got God's blessing. He didn't. And he decided to kill Abel. And one thing I found to be interesting, and I'll let you go. Abel I think he had sheep and like farm animals, and Cain presented God with vegetables and like, I was like, I don't know. I just didn't want to. It was just funny to me how like God accepted the live animals but not the fruit. And then my brain's like veganism. But anyways, now we can go.
I just thought it was because like he probably wanted the animals more because that's more of a sign of like sacrifice, like ritual, like like blood magic or something like that. So God was like, no, let's take the livestock better, That's what I always thought. But
I don't know. I just always was like, wow, this is a really interesting story. But then now, I just feel like everyone in the spiritual community is like, let's be vegans. It's like we should eat according to our body types. But that's another story for a different day. But I was just like being a little like egoist and being like, that's God rejecting veganism.
I mean, maybe.
Who knows, right?
I I think we should all eat meat, but then I'm a definite proponent of like eat for your body type because that's different. You know, everyone's different, but whatever. That's another story for another time. Well, also though something that we should talk about though, because it is pretty interesting how like depending on where your lineage is from, those are the things that you should be eating.
Probably be eating, yeah. So like African American, I would say fish, a lot of fish.
Hmm.
And they would probably do a lot of like indigenous meats to that area. So I mean, like, you don't really have access to that. So
Yeah, like goat, lamb, things like that. Like they didn't really have cows, I don't think, but they had like goat, lamb, and like other things. Yeah,
yeah,
but goat and lamb are really good. I love goat and
mhm.
lamb. It's
I love
delicious.
cow too.
Mm.
Moo.
I like fish, but like I don't do bottom feeders. I don't like shrimp, lobster. All that shit is disgusting to me because I'm like they literally clean the bottom of the ocean
Mm,
and like they're scavengers. To me, that's like eating a cockroach. Like it's
mm.
the same. Like so gross.
In my religion, because of that, actually, we did not eat the bottom feeder stuff. But even like, it's just kind of, I guess it's like uh wisdom in that, or at least for like from when I was growing up, because yeah, you're right, it is like scavengers and do whatever you want to do, right? But for me personally, I just don't eat that. For me, fish means salmon. Oh my god.
Salmon, yeah. I know that this is technically a bottom feeder. I understand. I get the irony of this, but catfish is really good. It's so good. Again, I get it. It's a
Mm,
bottom feeder,
mm,
but it's delicious. And at
mm,
least it doesn't look like an insect. I mean,
mm.
honestly, shrimp and like, the prawns, they look weird. No, I don't know. I don't know.
They
But
do.
whatever.
They do. And like I had what was it? I think it was shrimp maybe once or something. It's just not good to me, but it's also because I don't have that, like, I do believe you do develop a palate towards things as well. But for me personally, just it was like it's so rubbery and like just the texture just really throws me off a little bit. I can
Hmm.
only, like I just said, do salmon, and with salmon I can even eat it raw. Like I went to a Japanese smokehouse. That's why it's strange. It's a Japanese smokehouse. Like, when you ever hear that, and they have fresh salmon. You need to see it to believe it. You need to taste it to know it. Like, it's just like it was so fresh. You can taste the ocean, but
Oh.
like it was like not like that nasty fishy smell, like that nasty
Mm.
fishy, but like just like that fresh, like almost like it was like caught that day, like 5 minutes before, literally, and like put in my. It was just so good. It's really really good. And I also tried fried octopus, I believe, as well. A little bit
Octopus is
cool.
weird. I don't like the texture. I'm a big like if I can't get past the texture, then I can't eat it. So that's
Mm.
why I don't like sushi because like it's not cooked and like most fish have like a rubbery like
Elasticy. I can't do.
yeah, just and I don't like it.
Mm.
So I've had smoked salmon before, and I'm not a huge fan because, like, again, like they don't cook it like all the way, and then it's just that texture thing. But octopus is weird. It's like super rubbery, and I don't like it. I've been to it was like was it Vietnamese? It was like a East Asian wedding, and it was like two different. It was like Vietnamese, and then like I think maybe Cambodian. I forget the other one, but they were marrying, and they had like nothing but seafood, and so like I just
You must
tried
have
a
been
whole bunch.
horrified.
Yeah, I really was, but I was like, like I'll try it because like some of the stuff I've never had before. Like I've had lobster, like I wasn't a fan, and then like I even gave it like another shot just because I was like, well, maybe they prepare it a little bit differently. Maybe I'll like it. I didn't, but yeah, I had like octopus, and then I think they also had squid, and not a fan. It's just weird. And like I tried to like think like, oh, it's like spaghetti, like just little noodly. No, it's a texture thing. It's just like really like rubbery and wet. I
Mm.
didn't like it. But now I know. So now I'm like, yeah, I can't. do that?
I would want to have like a session to where I sit there and I try like all the seafood I hate and see what like if I almost still hate it. Because I will say with octopus, I know you don't like it, but that was a definitely a new experience for me. It was either octopus or squid. I'm not really sure, but one of the two. So good. And it's so crisp, so juicy. But I think it might also be this restaurant is just really like good, you know?
It
But
could be that too. Like I've had other things. Like I love crocodile and snake.
mm,
I know it's not something that
I'm like,
like yeah, because I my aunt used to live in Texas like when she was in the military and she was stationed out there. So when I would go visit, like I would, you know, eat what they would eat over there, like the restaurants and stuff. And I'd be like, I'd try that. So that was the first time I ever had snake, and it was good. Like they fry it up, and it's like kind of like it looks like popcorn chicken, and it's just delicious. And like it's an interesting texture though. It is a little on the rubbery side, but like the flavor is there, so like I don't mind it. And then crocodile is similar to that. It's
mm.
just really good. It's delicious.
Yeah, I can't imagine eating crocodile. Like I've seen it, you know. Have you ever if you've ever seen what is it, Waterboy, I think it is.
Oh,
I had always seen it there with the I'm like, how interesting, how strange. Like I don't know if I'll be open to trying it, honestly. I mean,
it's interesting. I think I liked it because like it was like somewhat fried and like breaded. You know, I don't know if it comes in any other way because like the both times that I tried, I was in Texas, and then the other time I was in Louisiana, and you know, down south they just fry the shit out of everything. So I don't know if there's like another way that they prepare it, but you know, it's good fried. Is all I'm saying.
All right, so segueing back into
Oh
Egyptian.
yeah. Oh my gosh, the tangents that we get on.
A
Okay.
story you to share.
So mine is more what I did find. It's a lot of like a conceptual, abstract sort of a thing. It reminded me very similar to when we were doing the Greek mythology, because they have a lot of like a personification of their gods. They have a lot of like they don't really describe what they look like in this, and yeah, it's just a lot of like concepts and abstract like not ideology, but yeah, I guess ideology. So we start with a tomb who is Ra. He has like different he has like different like phases, I guess, of his being. He is a tomb when the sun is at its like most zenith, I guess. So that's like the highest. And then he has another. He's Ra, like at like the rising sun. He has another name, Kepri, and then he also is a scarab, which has like a sun disk, and that is him when the sun is like closest to the horizon or something like that. So he has like a lot of different like phases, and it's just really interesting. But his how he came to be is interesting. The two things that I found was that he either just willed himself to be out of the darkness of the noon or the nun. It's N-U-N, so I don't know if it's nun or noon.
I
I'm
heard
gonna say
it's new.
it's noon,
Like just
like
not
noon.
new, like this is a new day or something. That's how
Oh,
they pronounced it for me, but
oh, okay.
wait,
So you don't pronounce the N. Okay, so new. Um,
maybe I don't know.
and he either willed himself out of like the darkness of those like primordial waters, or he spoke his own name, which I find interesting because how do you speak your own name if you're not like fully formed yet? So I thought that was interesting, especially because like I believe that like names have power. So
Mm.
he made his own name and then like spoke himself into existence. Like that is like the ultimate to me. So it's just really interesting. And so all the fairies, this is another thing. So basically, like you have heaven and you have earth. They're the same when a tomb is ruling. The humans and the divine gods, they coexist. Um, the humans are aware of the gods, like they can talk to them. They don't really say that they're like above them yet, but they're kind of just like coexisting and like mixing in together. Um, and then apparently, when Atum created himself, um, Noon Nu was also personified into four pairs of male and female, and then those are the deities. They're like a couple of deities that like represented um, one of the four principles of like noon, I guess, which is like the water, the primordial water. It's hiddenness, infinite water, lack of direction, and then darkness or lack of light. And those is what Atum created himself from, but then like it gets confusing because it also kind of like says that Atum also created those things. So that's what I mean by like it's like conceptual and like a little abstract. Um, but the heaven and the earth were separate, and they were united, and the gods and the humans were living together. But then it also says that later on, apparently there was like a rebellion, and as Ra got older, the gods wanted to take the throne from him, and then some humans even plotted against him, and he was like, "Nah, fuck that shit. We're not doing that." So he came down and he like killed all the rebels, and then after that, he was like, "Man, I'm kind of tired. That took a lot out of me. Like, I feel bad for having to do all that. Like, that's not really me. Like, these people made me do this." So he goes up into the sky, and he goes up. He apparently transformed himself into Hathor and Sekhmet when he was like, killing all the rebels and stuff. But then like afterwards, as Hathor, he goes up into the sky, which is what was her name? Tefnut. And he just lives in the stars now. He's like, I don't want to be down there with y'all
Wait,
anymore. Y'all are
you
wild
said
and crazy.
Tefnut was this Tefnut was this guy?
Yeah, so they either her full name is either Tefnut or Nut. So they shorten
Oh.
it. But yeah, because I found another story where like they only called her Nut, and then a story where they only called her Tefnut. And it gets confusing because basically what I've noticed in Egyptian mythology, and it's similar to Hindu mythology, all the gods that are like in the pantheon of Egyptian mythology are like also the gods that are on Earth. Because like Osiris is supposed to be Ra. Like he's the human version of Ra, but Ra is still alive. He's just in heaven, pulling the sun, from east to west every day. So
Mm.
it's really interesting and a little confusing because where it differs from Hindu mythology is that like you're the avatar of the gods, but those gods are like they're not here anymore. They're that physical body of them doesn't exist anymore. But in Egyptian mythology, it's like you have them both and they're like concurrent, and it's kind of confusing how they do it. So it's like you have your avatar, which is Osiris, but Ra is still technically here, like still the king of the gods. It's weird. But he's associated with the Ankh, which is a symbol of like unity and light, and protection.
Who's
And
associated?
then
Is that Osiris associated with the Ankh?
it's a tomb, so Ra.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would assume that Osiris is too, because Osiris was also he was a king, a human king first, and then when he died, that's when he became like a god, I guess. But all the pharaohs that are supposedly descended from the sun god, like Atum or Ra, they all have the symbol of Ra, and so I'm assuming Osiris would have it too if he was a king first. I don't know. That's why I'm mad at Google right now, because like all the information that it gave me was just like very scattered. But then also like the information that I did find that was like ordered pretty well, it was all conceptual. So it's interesting.
I was gonna say something.
Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say this, and it's also kind of like Chinese mythology and the fact that they draw their like, I guess, royal lineages, but a lot of their lineages come from like direct spirit, not like, it's like we are descended from the gods, period.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was interesting because like apparently before the heaven and earth was separated, Ra was basically like the pharaohs would rule over the land to make sure that like earth didn't fall back into chaos. Like that was the point of the pharaohs. So that's why they have like that great power and that dominion over the land, because they're supposed to be like the I guess like the shepherds, for lack of a better term, to like make sure that like everyone's good, make sure that earth doesn't fall back into chaos, because that would be bad, because you have a popis, which is the Nile serpent that wants to like just like ravage the land. So Ra is like, no, we can't have that. But apparently, when Atum came out of the primordial waters, he had the head of a Binu bird, which either looks like a heron or a phoenix. Yeah. And then this is just another like one of like the creation stories. Apparently, when he was the bird, he flew to Heliopolis, which is an ancient city near Cairo. And then he lit a bin, which is an obelisk, and like it's associated as like a ray of sun. And then after that, he made aromatic bows and then spices. And then the next sentence was like, I feel like there's something missing there. But apparently, somehow, the tomb got consumed by fire and then died, but then came back to life. And that's why he's associated with like the phoenix. But it doesn't really explain how he got consumed by fire, and I was like, what were in those spices that he was mixing? I don't know. Yeah, it was really interesting. And then apparently like he's like heavily related to or not related, but represented by the cap on the pyramids, and that cap is called a pyramidion, which is a symbol of rebirth and immortality. Because after he died, I guess he capped one of the pyramids with that. And yeah, it's an important symbol of rebirth and immortality. And then apparently, this is where it also gets a little bit confusing, because I'm not sure which one came first. And in some instances, this person is actually his daughter. But Mot, or Ma'at, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. She is a goddess, but also the personification of truth and justice. She's what came out of like the noon and all the darkness and stuff, and she represents like all the good things about like humanity. So like harmony, truth, justice, all that good stuff. But in some instances, she was created by a tomb after he got out of the primordial waters first. And sometimes she was just already there, and then she just kind of like springs forward. And then in another version, she's his daughter because,
Another one.
yeah, exactly, pretty much. And then in another version, she's his daughter because he created her out of the primordial waters. But I don't think it's like daughter in like the traditional sense.
Yeah, a lot. From what I understand, a lot of their birth process, and I use quotation marks by the way, guys who are listening. A lot of the birth process is more conceptual and or like using mental projection to like project their energy into like a personification and then giving that personification form is what I understand their birthing process to be like. So it's not traditional. And like when they say, oh, Shu and Tefnut, or like Isis and Osiris, was it?
Yeah.
When they came together, it was very, or at least from a, again, more conceptual, more like we're using our like thought energies, emotions to like project together to make something new is what I understand. But I guess not in Isis's case with her needing to, you know, but anyways. Yeah,
and then that's another thing with Isis, like they're what I was looking at, like they don't really know, she doesn't really have like a creation story. She was just kind of there, I guess, already. And then
my people said that she was produced by Shu and Tefnut.
And then another thing that I read was like they don't know when she came to be, and she didn't really have a creation story. Although, like later on, I saw that a tomb like that because Osiris, Seth, and Isis are his kids as well. So I'm like, isn't that technically like where she came from? But I guess not. I don't know. That's the other thing. Like and then depending on like what region you are in Egypt, that's a whole other thing. But yeah. So what else do I have? Oh, and then Shu and Tefnut. I wanted to bring this up because I find this very interesting. There are a lot of twins in Greek or in just mythology in general, and I don't know what that says, but I think that says something. I don't. And then,
or like at least the idea of consort pairs are always really prevalent, and then of course, then there's like even the, I guess, because I didn't notice fully twins here, but yeah, in Greek mythology there are quite a bit of twins, which is
even Artemis, Apollo.
Yeah,
I can't remember the other name, but yeah,
in general, very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I wonder if that's because, like, in all of these mythologies, they were they understood like the duality between like the male and feminine energy, because all the twins they're always male and female. They're never two males, they're never two, they can be sisters, they can be brothers, but they're never, two twin brothers. They're never two twin sisters, and that to me is like just has always been pretty interesting. But Shu represented the dry air, Tefnut represented corrosive moist air, and they supposedly symbolize the two universal principles of human existence, which was life and justice. They also separated the sky and the water, and then they had two children, Geb, dry land, and then Nut, the sky. So just interesting. And then sometimes in one thing that I read, Nut and Tefnut are the same. So I'm like, I don't understand how she gave birth to herself, but whatever.
Wait. Never mind. Because I was going to say something, but it's. I think a lot of this is like the idea that it's like the idea of thought, basically. Because from the first myth that I have here, or like the first one I found and wrote down, um Atum, whatever his name is, used his thoughts and sheer will to create himself, and then he creates around him, but it just seemed to be a lot of like almost like a precognition, I would say, in
Mm-hmm.
a certain sense. Like, but like
Mm-hmm.
precognition in the sense that it's like before even the entity was formed. So yeah, very, very interesting. Egyptian mythology is so I don't know, it's really weird.
Yeah.
I think I got what I was expecting to a certain extent, but also I think I just I expect mythologies to be a bit more organized. Like I expect there to be like, or at least like they're like, for me, I would expect it to be grouped as like, okay, this is like, we have five variations, but here are like the most popular five variations. Like I would just expect that to be something that's readily, easily accessible, compiled,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. And it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not.
Yeah.
Because everything you're saying, like, I have like snippets in my notes because I did two creation myths here, but it's totally different still. And I'm like, huh, how interesting. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
something
obvious,
else. Sorry.
but huh?
What would you say? Sorry, what
No,
would you
I'm
say?
saying I know it's obvious that there won't be complete continuity, but it's still strange how there's just so much like varying accounts, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would expect there to be, at least by now, someone that says, okay, I'm going to compile at least, maybe let's just say there's five. They can be less than five. They could be more than five, but we'll say five. I'm going to compile five of the most commonly accepted myths, and this will be like the myths, but it's just not that way. It's definitely more scattered, which I
Mm-hmm.
guess surprises me a little bit. I don't know why, but it just does.
No, I agree because I think that because we talked about this when we were doing the chakra series because they organized like the Hindus, they organized everything very, neatly and concisely, and then there you can see like a progression of like, okay, in this time period this is when they, were only using like the five chakra system,
Mm-hmm.
or like this is when the, the 12 chakra system was developed or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
can see like a progression. There's like a timeline, you know. But with like Egyptian mythology, it's more like it was really, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really dependent upon like I feel what was going on with the humans in that time period, because um Isis wasn't super popular at first, and then like later as they as they became more modern, they started to revere her a little bit more. Now she's like she has the cult of Isis, like she's
Right, I'm
everywhere.
alive again in modern
Yeah,
age.
yeah, exactly. So it's just I feel like with like Greek mythology and even with Egyptian mythology and Chinese mythology, it's very dependent upon one, the time periods, and the dynasties that they have. What pharaoh was in rule at that time, and then also what was going on with the people. Were there like a severe drought? What was there? More rain? Maybe they were, praising Set more to be like, hey, like, can you ease up on, on the storms? Can you ease up on like this, like really harsh, unforgiving, drought that we're experiencing in the desert? Because he's also the desert god. Um, was there more famine going on? They're probably, communing with the god of agriculture.
Oh,
I can't
science.
remember. Hmm?
They listed, at least in my version, they listed Osiris as god of agriculture.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I think that is right. But yeah, maybe they were communing with him more to be like, we need more food. We don't have enough. So it's all those little like human experiences that were probably like what's the word, influencing like what god was popular, what story
Mhm.
they they talked about more.
Yeah, I
And
would say. Oh.
No good.
No, I was gonna say I really think that, like you were saying, dependent on the current happenings of the times, it was definitely influenced the stories that were told, I would say. And I have a question for you, a
Yeah.
fun question. How
Okay.
do you think the pyramids were built?
I don't honestly. I feel like because for me, like I believe in like a I can never say this word like a sick whatever like a loop like a cycle. I believe in like a cycle, of like how humanity develops. So I think we had like a bunch of like not necessarily technology in the sense that like we think of now, but better like yeah, not like, phones or anything like that, but like more like practices and like ways of like doing things
Mhm.
that would be considered technological now because it's like, well, how are they doing it back then, But I feel like we had more information before that we were like, oh, they didn't know much, they couldn't have been able to do that. And then they keep finding like, oh, well, they had like rudimentary clocks, they
They
had
had
like,
actual fuck. I'm sorry, but like they had actual clocks. Like that's
yeah,
insane. Like, and they were
yeah,
like
like gears
precise.
and stuff, like it didn't
Precise.
have a face, obviously, but like it's just like open gears, where like things are moving, they can tell time,
And
so it's like,
also want to mention one too. I think it was either opening doors or like hydraulic. It was something about doors opening by itself, basically in Egypt. And like it was like some weird like pressure to like where they use like fire and like steam. So, like they use like they had unconventional ways of using what they had at their disposal to
hmm
create technology. But boy, oh boy, they created
hmm
some really good technology, and especially, I mean, Egypt as well, but especially like Italy and like that area, like it's just like insane to me like what came out of that time period
hmm
using what they had, and like how
yeah,
like yeah, we're still inventing today, but like their inventions are still impacting, still using, we're still using some of the stuff today. So like it's just
yeah,
their
yeah,
impact
exactly,
is like really
yeah.
intense.
And then there's things that like we like our cement is different from the cement that they had like years ago. Like it's not the same. Like it's our cement is nowhere as near as strong or durable or long lasting as the shit that they created,
Yeah,
in like different time periods. So
so
like
those
they're still
things are
trying to
still
figure out
building.
how to make cement, like that is wild to me.
Mhm.
It's just like so I think that they just had like a, I don't know if it was like a very intricate like pulley system. I don't know if maybe they knew of like how to use magnets, like because I know that they have like they used like crystals, they had like citrine and like calcite and stuff that they were making some of their like statues and stuff, like some of their figurines. So who knows what else they found? There are naturally occurring like minerals that are magnetic. So if there is enough,
Earth is amazing.
yeah,
Like it just,
that's
it's
why
so
we have to
cool.
use it, like that's why it's here. We're supposed to be able to use it, but not use it up. Like we're not supposed to be greedy. Like we're, the idea that like we can get like fruit and vegetables from another like country when like our fruit and vegetables aren't in season because we're at a different season than they are, like I don't think that's supposed to be a thing. We're supposed to be using like, well, shit, it's winter. We're not gonna get strawberries right now. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's just we're supposed to use things in the time that they're here, and then use other things. But
You
whatever.
know,
That's
and it's
another.
really funny you say that because really quickly here, and then because we're all like about 10 minutes over, which is
I
really
know.
good. But okay, so I swear I had watermelon in like the winter time or something, and it was just not sitting right with me and gave me like heartburn. I just did not feel good. Didn't, yeah, heartburn from watermelon, right? That's so weird. And then
That's weird.
all of a
Did it
sudden,
not have seeds? Because I don't. I'm sorry, I don't trust anything that doesn't have seeds.
I'm pretty sure it did have seeds in it. That's why I was just overall really confused as to how I was getting like that reaction from watermelon. But
That's
lately,
interesting.
in summertime now, I have to have watermelon every day. It's like I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like And now I'm fine, you know. So maybe it is a seasonal thing to where it's like our body just knows like what's in season, what's not, and
Yeah, I
using
think
what
so.
we have.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's just
it's just
interesting.
it's very very interesting. But yes, this was our podcast today, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just again interesting because I feel like an affinity, and I definitely feel that I have a past life there. Like I know I do. Actually, like it's just a fact, you know? 'Cause I feel that just that drawn and like at home, and I almost feel a sense of completion
Hmm.
looking into like Egyptian mythology, you know, but
Hmm.
on the same token, I was not disappointed, but I just wish we had more. I don't know why we don't have more concise information. You know, I understand there being different interpretations, but I don't understand why it's not compiled and accessible to the public.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it's a weird thing to complain about, you know, like why aren't mythologies compiled by date, but they should be compiled by date and region, and
Hmm.
like so like it's like easier to like find, you know. Maybe I have to tell someone that, and so they do it. But
I
yeah,
think so. Because it's weird that they don't do it, but they do it when you go to like museums. So
yeah.
maybe that's
Maybe
they
I have to go to like
maybe
a
it's
museum or something.
yeah. Real quick, what who is your favorite Egyptian god?
Honestly, Set. I know that's like
Ah!
left down. Set. I like
That's
his
a
like
weirdo.
he's a weirdo. Yes, he's a weirdo. But I like Set because I don't know. He just like he does what he wants to do. You know, he doesn't give. I guess when I'm in a bad mood, Set is my favorite god. When I'm in a nice, tamed out Gina mood, I would say Thoth.
Yes. Okay, he's mine too.
I
That's
like
you know why though? Because like he's very big on language and writing
him.
and
That's
knowledge.
probably
And
why.
that's all what we're about.
Hmm.
Cause I don't know what it is, but I always gravitate to that particular god and like whatever pantheon we're doing. Like I have, a Ganesh tattoo, and he is the god of like writing, and like he protects like writers and like other things like that, and he also like has like wisdom and knowledge to give. And I love Thoth. I love Metatron from the Bible, Enoch. Like he was the scribe, the interpreter for like the gods, and like giving like information and stuff. I love
Hmm.
that. So definitely Toph. And then
Hmm.
Anubis. I love Anubis. And I'm not like too into like the death thing, but I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Like, because like people are weird, like with like death and like murder. They're like, oh, I want to learn more about this murder. I'm just like, you're a weirdo. That's odd, but
You know,
okay.
people. Okay, really quickly, people who watch true crime like religiously, they kind of freak me. Like, and like even channels that dedicate their entire channels looking into true crime, it really freaks me out. Like the cases are interesting. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
It just freaks me out, and my mom will like sit around watching that kind of stuff all
I think
day.
it's weird
I'm like,
because like because
yeah,
death is beautiful, especially with like the rituals that like we perform to like revere the dead, our lost ones. But the weird like, oh, this person was murdered, like their life was taken away in such like a grotesque
let me
way.
absorb what happened and like look and absorb and just watch. And I'm like, what? And this is
Yeah.
my whole family. Like they all like it. Like my little sister likes it. My older sister likes it. My mom, like, why? Why do you
Yeah,
guys
it's weird.
like
And a
watching?
lot of women like it more than men. And I'm just like, y'all are weird.
Yeah, and, like all the makeup channels, like I was saying, like the makeup channels that like they get ready with you while they're doing makeup, but they talk about true crime that they've put their
Yeah.
energy and research into. I'm like, it's a little, but I guess I do like Set, you know. So maybe I
But at least Sid has an excuse. He is the literal like god of like violence.
yeah,
Like that's literally what it said when I was looking up.
I'm
It
like,
was like
oh, how
violence,
straightforward, you know,
desert, and storms. So
very
I
straight.
understand. I get it. We all have our roles, and he had his.
Yeah,
Like he was
yeah.
supposed to be the asshole. So
Mhm.
I understand.
Yeah, but it is very very strange to me, and I've always like just kind of been a little bit put off by it. I'm not gonna lie, just because it's just like, why do you like researching about how kind of awful human beings are? Then like
Yeah.
talking about it and like just think, and that's like shit. Like some things I know that things stay in your mind whether or not you are consciously accessing it or not. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of it or anything, you know, but I just would rather not
Have that.
bombard my mind with
Yeah.
stuff like I know
Yeah.
humans, I know the depth of a human being without having to like actively engage all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's how I feel about it too, because like it's not a negative thing, but like it has there's a weird energy to it. Because I'm
Mhm.
like, you can't only look at that aspect of death and not look at like the other aspect, which is like
Implications
we
of what
revere our dead, we do like these nice like rituals to like make sure that they have a nice send off. But there's no shows about that.
Mhm.
There's no like I don't know, it's just to
And
me
one thing
it's gross
I
and
think
weird.
that's why I like Anubis too. And that's because I know that's why I like him. It's because he has this like that reverence and that system for the dead. And I like that. I like that how precarious and how respectful and ritualistic the Egyptians were with their dead. They were very, very like um meticulous with
Hmm.
what they did. And it's very interesting because I was kind of thinking about whether or not I should be I know this is, I guess, kind of bleak, but I was thinking about cremation or a burial, you know? I'm like, I don't know. I was leaning more towards cremation, honestly. But then I don't know, this kind of I feel that, especially with Anubis, it's like, no, be buried. I'm like, oh, how
Hmm.
interesting. I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll see,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's why some religions don't believe in cremation because it's like
Yeah,
there's
mine did
nothing
it.
for you don't have an afterlife essentially because your body isn't there.
Yeah, mine didn't. Mine didn't. Mine doesn't, but I'm not like in it, so it didn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, my religion, we didn't believe in like cremation. So like everyone had to be buried. Like it was like a rule to where we could not.
Yeah.
So I found that to be very interesting. Maybe that's why I was like, oh, I'm going to be, you know. But I don't know now with Anubis. I like how respectful. It's like it's almost like how we respect when we come in. Well, mostly respect how we come into life. You know, like that process. That like
Hmm.
and so it should be mirrored in
In
the
the
afterlife.
death as well. Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
Mm.
Ah,
I love this episode today. I feel like
I
it
know.
was so juicy. But again, I just have this like I guess a respect for Egyptian mythology, but I know that we're not getting and especially now like with this one, I feel a certain familiarity with it. So I
Hmm.
know that with the other ones, maybe not with the Greek, but like with a lot of the other ones, you just kind of got like not a lot, you know? I
Yeah.
wonder what's missing. And also, I guess because it is Greek, I mean, excuse me, it is Egyptian, the Library of Alexandria. Oh, my heart. I can when I like even just thinking about it, I want to cry because I'm like,
I know. Okay,
oh,
me
that
too,
is
right? I don't know
amazing.
what that is,
I
but
don't
I'm
know what
just
it is,
like
but yeah, I just actually want to cry thinking about it because it's so sad. All of that juicy information.
information. I
Yeah.
know. And then like it's worse because like again, I was talking about how like names are power, and my dad literally named me like after the library. So my middle name is Alexandria. So I'm just like, oh,
You know, me
thanks, Dad.
Alexandria. Wow, that's a mouthful. I like
Oh,
it
I
though.
know. Try writing that out as a child. Oh my God. When they wanted you to write your whole name, first, middle, and last,
I'm like, oh, this is a whole
over
process.
it. Over it. Goodness. But yes, this was amazing. I love Egyptian mythology because of like the magical, ceremonious, ritualistic like aspects to it.
I don't know. It was just, I guess Horace understood the implications of what Set did, but like for me to like read it or like for me to be researching and from like it to go from that to like, okay, let's just chop the whole arm off. Let's just get rid of it. I'm like, okay, this is really intense.
Yeah,
Really,
I
really, really
wonder what
interesting.
that signifies. Like, because basically then he was tainted. So had they not chopped off the hand, would his whole body, would his whole spirit have been tainted?
Yeah.
It's kind of
And
like
then
when
the
you
fact
don't like someone and they touch you.
and the fact that they retaliated by putting Horace's special fluids in lettuce and feeding it to him, that's really intense. That's some like that
Yeah.
is that's honestly how some women say they put like their menses.
Uh-huh.
Men are like, tell
Yeah.
me how like
See,
ritualistic
there's
like
some shit
that.
in like mythology where I'm just like, nah, people still do that
They
to
do
this
that
day. Because
though.
there's been like so many like news reports about like men or women putting their stuff into stuff because they work at like McDonald's or they work at Burger King,
Oh my
and it's like in the shakes. And I'm like, why is that a thing?
that makes me not want to eat out anymore at all.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't eat out anyway, not there at least, but
oh yeah,
definitely.
I haven't been to McDonald's in like ages. I went to Taco Bell the other week or last week. I was like, oh, not even last week, like Friday. Friday or Thursday. I'm like, oh, this is strange. It was just really weird eating. It's like my body doesn't like my body was like, this is food or something, but like my body, whenever I eat good food, my body, I say sings, but I just feel really good. I
Mhm.
feel energized, like I can palpably feel the energy in my body generally when I eat good. That's the thing. So I can tell when it's just not.
That's why it's important to eat well, and then eat like get on a schedule of eating. Like if
So
you're not a breakfast eater, then like that's fine, but like, get on a schedule that works for you.
yeah, my dinner schedule has been terrible lately. 10 o'clock dinners. I'm like, Gina, you know you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm like, but I'm doing it.
What I'm doing. That's because you're so busy.
Huh?
That's because you're so busy.
That's very true. And it's just like for me, dinner, I like my meat fresh. And so I cook dinner every night. But like
That
the
makes sense.
toast oven does it for me, but I like put it in every night because I like the meat fresh. So it doesn't take that long, but it's just it can be a process. And that for
Mhm.
me, by the way, guys, I don't power lift anymore, but I did, and I'm still in the gym, so I do have macros.
I was wondering where your videos were. I'm like, I
Yeah,
haven't seen her
I
like.
stopped about 2 weeks ago, so it's really recent. But I feel that my body's like, Gina, it's time to start being in yang. Go to yang.
Mm-mm.
Use it. I'm like, but I want to.
That
I do
explains
want
the
to
pink. Because you were pink last week and then this week too. Okay, Gina, I see you. All right. Get it, girl.
yeah, they've just been saying like I need to be more like I don't have to quit entirely. Like next year, I think I'm permitted to compete again. But it's just like right now, it's too much for me doing energy work and then
Mm-hmm.
burning all that energy and like just the amount of food that you have to eat when you are an athlete, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like runners and swimmers, I'm like, how in the hell do you guys do it? Like I just for me personally, because it was like you're like, oh, I can eat whenever I want. Oh my god, no. You just want to like eat normally, but you're still on a specialized diet because you're still in
Mm-hmm.
the gym and I'm still doing weight training, so I'm still going to be in the gym doing weight. So like I'm still on a special macros. And for people who do sports, they're still most likely should be to optimize their
Mm-hmm.
sport doing special macros. So it's just very precarious, that area. But yes, to be balanced. But yes, guys, we have been chit chatting for a while here
Yes.
now.
Oh my goodness.
And we will let ourselves
But you
today.
know what it is? It's this app because it works
It's
perfectly.
so much better.
It's
Like
so
oh my
much better.
so much better. And I just feel like more like aligned and like more like, okay, we're here, we're doing something cool, I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
before too, but like, and I guess maybe it's also the pink that I've been wearing as of lately. The new colors, I've been introducing into my wardrobe. They're like, good job, Gina. They're saying I can wear black, right? But it's also like I can wear too much black. And it's not
It's just nice to
necessarily
find a balance.
balance, exactly. And same with weightlifting. I can go back to it, but I just have to find a better balance than like killing myself. Like but it's just what's really hard for me, and then I'll leave it here. My last PR, I dropped the fucking excuse me. I dropped the bar, okay? And it just like I know I got it, but in my head I'm like, Gina, when you get back at it, you have to do that and more, right? I'm like, I know. So we already know what's up. I'm still gonna be. It's just weird quitting because it's like such a big part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I also need to like know when to chill it and when to rest. And I can tell my body was just getting to that point to where it was like burnout, but like
Yeah.
bodily burnout, and I feel bodily and mental a little bit, but it was really intense. My root chakra was kind of out of balance, honestly. I got a massage done, and I was like,
Mm.
wow. even now, like being like returning back to like more like zenned out. I'm like, wow, it's too much adrenaline for me. I think, at least, to be so consistent with it. And I know people are like, what? This is not science. It's just no. It's what happens when you walk different paths in life. I think when you do spiritual work, I wasn't mocking anyone, by the way, but like when
No,
you
I
do
know.
when you do this, like when you do specialized work, like spiritual healing work, you just kind of have to be a little bit more cognizant. And I
Mhm,
wasn't necessarily paying attention. And this is me as a spiritual teacher, so I'm not paying attention to my body. I can't facilitate that change and that healing in someone else when I'm
mhm,
not listening to my own body,
mhm.
and my own emotions. So I had to kind of have like a talk, and we had to let go a little bit. But it's okay because
Sometimes
again,
you have to do that, you know? That's
next year,
self-awareness.
June, oh, we're going at it, competing again, and we're going to be like balls to the wall. So
Oh shit, okay. Nice. All right.
mm.
All right. So this has been our podcast, The Spiritual Hour.
My name is Gina,
My name is Anna.
and this has been our
Um,
podcast today, Egyptian mythology. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say every episode. This is my favorite episode ever. But this one has been my
I
favorite
know,
episode ever.
I know. We've been saying that every week. Like after we get off, we like message each other, like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Every time.
But I really love this one. I
Yeah.
think the Egyptian mythology just has drama to it, but also like
Hmm.
the magicalness. But it feels really interesting. It feels like I could have experienced these things basically, or like
Yeah.
watch it. So I like it a lot.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Same here. All right. Cool. We'll see you guys next Saturday. We're continuing with the mythology, right? So,
Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia. What is it? What is it? Mesopotamian, or what's the other word?
Mes- we
Babylonian?
uh so we can do Mesopotamian or we can do like Zoroastrianism, which like
I don't know what
predates.
the difference. Oh, so you said Zoroastrianism predates.
Yeah, it
So
predates
yeah,
like a lot. It's like one of the first like
okay.
monotheistic religions.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.